So again, good morning. Welcome to the Children's Mental Health Matters webinar series. I'm Angie McRae. I'm the Child and Family Engagement Manager here. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available to you for viewing later this week. I'm so pleased to have with us today wonderful partners that MHAMD works with. Eugene Schneeberg from Fathers Forward and Dr. Chris Maith from the Family Tree, presenting two unique perspectives on men's mental health. So, a little bit about our speakers today. Our first presenter, Eugene Schneeberg, is a nationally recognized fatherhood leader, men's mental health advocate, speaker, and nonprofit executive dedicated to strengthening fathers, families, and communities. As president of Fathers Forward and president of Straight Ahead Ministries, Eugene has spent more than 2 decades mentoring fathers, justice involved individuals, and at risk youth while helping organizations build effective fatherhood and family engagement programs. Then we'll hear from Dr. Chris Maith, Director of Community Based Services at the Family Tree. He is an accomplished social work educator, administrator, researcher, and human services leader with more than 20 years of experience advancing higher education, community-based practice, program development, and organizational leadership. Dr. Maith earned his PhD in social work from Morgan State University School of Social Work, go Bears, where his dissertation examined social workers' self-perceptions of cultural competence in providing community-based services to Black populations in urban communities. Thank you both for being here. Eugene, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Great. Thank you, Angie. And thank you to the whole team at the Children's Mental Health Association. And I'm particularly honored to co-present with Dr. Maith. So I'm looking forward to hearing his presentation directly after mine. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Angie, give me the heads up when you can see my title slide. Let me see. Can you see it? It's loading,
Yes.
loading. Okay, awesome. So I'm Eugene Schneeberg. Angie butchered my last name, so I'm going to help everybody out with the proper pronunciation real quick and how I got that funny sounding last name. So I don't know how many of you guys remember Mr. Rogers, but Mr. Rogers used to say, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor?" For me, it's "Won't you be my Schneeber?" So Angie, that's how you pronounce my last name,
I'm
Schneeber.
sorry.
It's all good. How did I get the name Schneeber? Some people wonder just because of my melanin. So my mother's Jewish American, my father's African American. They were never married, so I have my mother's maiden name Schneeberg. So that's easy. Um, and Angie didn't mention in my intro, but that I have my PhD. I didn't earn it from Morgan, but I earned it quite young, actually. I'm pretty proud of the fact I earned it before I turned 20. And some people are curious, like, how mathematically is that possible? Um, so I'll let you in on a little no, unknown secret. So I earned my PhD, my public high school degree. So so shout out to to the other PhDs in the room. Um, but yeah, I earned my public high school degree. Anyway, so you got to laugh to keep from crying, y'all. So my talk today is gonna be titled "Love Your Mind." Love your mind, and a little bit about my background is before I started Fathers Forward, I served as the director of the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships at the U.S. Department of Justice during the Obama administration. Um, Funny story, first time I met President Obama, you see the circle on the top of the screen. Um, we're at the White House and we're at an event and he was going around and shaking everybody's hand and taking pictures with everybody. And I was so nervous to meet a sitting president. And I don't know if you guys have done that before, but it's kind of nerve-wracking the first time. So I was thinking to myself, what am I going to say to this man that'll be memorable and interesting and impressive? And so, so I totally lost my train of thought. And so by the time he sticks out his hand to shake my hand, my mind went completely blank, and I just said, "It's nice for you to meet me, Mr. President." Very embarrassing, but he was cool about it. But I've also served as outreach lead for the National Responsible Fatherhood Clearinghouse, also known as fatherhood.gov. And essentially, I travel the country, talking about fatherhood, talking about how important fathers and mothers are in the lives of their children. And so I've been doing this for a few decades, and that's a little bit of me professionally. Personally, um, my wife and I are actually celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary this weekend, y'all. So this is one of my last work things before we head out for our anniversary. To celebrate our 23rd. Together, we have four amazing children. EJ and Genesis are in college. Elijah's in high school, and Franklin is in elementary school. He starts fourth grade. And I learned so much about being a father on the job every day from all the ups and downs of being a parent. So that's a little bit about me as we jump into it. So I mentioned that my mother and father were never married, but what I didn't tell you is that I never met my father, and that's the title of my book. Never met my father, my journey from fatherless to fatherhood. Um, and I think that's kind of my why. So I started Fathers Forward in 2018, shortly after leaving the Obama administration, and we've worked with over 500 fathers across the state of Maryland, DC, and Virginia since that time. I want to just share this quote. I've kind of uh, amended it a little bit, um, but it just says, "A father's words are singularly the most powerful force available to humanity. We can choose to use this force constructively with words of encouragement or destructively using words of despair. A father's words have energy and power with the ability to help, to heal, to hinder, to hurt, to harm, to humiliate, or to humble." And so, fathers and mothers' voices are incredibly powerful, either to speak life or 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 something else. And so in our work with fathers, we really try and help fathers understand the unique um, influence they have in their children's life, either positively or negatively. So I want to make this interactive. So in the chat, I want folks that are on today, just finish this line. I wish my dad. We're going to make it personal for a little bit. I know we're talking about fathers more broadly. There may be some fathers on, there may be some mothers on today. But we all have a father, whether you're like me who never met his father or had a rocky relationship with their father or a great relationship with their father. Just take a minute in the chat and just finish the line. I wish my dad, and whatever comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answers. Okay. I wish my dad, and I'm going to take a look and see what comes in. Um, hadn't died so young. Thank you, Patty. Was still here. Thank you, Marcy. Um, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. Um, never drank alcohol. Thank you. Was still here so I could tell him thank you and I love him still. Yep. Wish my dad could have listened and received help and was honest. Thank you. Um, that he and I were closer sooner. Could give me another hug. Um, I wish my dad knew how much I looked up to him and for him. Beautiful. I wish my dad lived closer. I wish he would have worked on his health. I wish my dad lived closer, handled stress better, and was able to communicate more and better. These are some excellent responses. Thank you all very much. Thank you for being, open. Got sober sooner. Had more time with me. Yes, thank you. Had not taken his life after using drugs. I wish I could have tell him I forgive him and I'm still his girl. Thank you. Wow, these are beautiful. I'm trying to see if I missed any. Think I got most of them, but you can keep putting them in the chat. Um, this is an exercise that we do with fathers. And I just got back from a 2-night, 3-day camping trip on the Eastern Shore with about 20 fathers. This is our third year hosting this man-to-man retreat. And this is one of the exercises we do. We do a lot of kind of interactive journaling. And probably the most common answer that I've gotten, having done this many, many times, is I wish my father was still here. I wish my father was still alive, right? Um, and then there's a whole series of other questions, excuse me, statements that either kind of indicate that they wish their father had done something differently or had, more time or knew how much I appreciated him or something on that spectrum. And I like to say um, that we all let me put it this way. We do another exercise where we ask um, people who go through our trainings and through our groups to rate their fathers, give their fathers a letter grade. Okay. So you might do this now if you just take a moment and just think about your own father, your relationship with your father. Um, and maybe you just drop it in the chat. If you would give your father an A, that would mean he was an excellent father. He was that guy, right? Maybe a B, he was good, but there was certainly a lot of room for improvement. C might have been kind of average, kind of mid. D, like not so great. F might be you know, either not present or just not good at all, right? And each of us are somewhere on the spectrum, right? In terms of I used to say this phrase often, there are no perfect fathers. And I thought that was a true statement, but I would do a presentation like this, and undoubtedly someone say, "Excuse me, you never met my father," right? Some of us have a father. So I'm going to take a look at the chat again. Yeah, if you have let's see if there's any A fathers. Yep, A, he was just lovely. I'm just gonna expand this a little bit. Okay, A plus, Dr. Tina, Marcy A, Michelle A, Dwayne A, right? So several of us had A fathers and others had B's. Some of us had D's or even F's, like I would say. But I say all that to say is, how we sometimes how we perceive our own father informs how we look at other fathers. So if we had a great father, we might think, well, fathers are absolutely critical in the lives of their children. They're irreplaceable. And just like my dad was so much for me. And so that's how I view it. Conversely, others of us might have had like some real trauma, some real father hurt, some father wounds, and we may say, I don't know, fathers might be more the problem than anything." So, thank you guys for being open to sharing. Um, and I'm gonna continue. So what we do is at Fathers Forward is we have a weekly fatherhood peer support group. We have one tonight since it's Thursday at 7 o'clock. We average, I don't know, 15 or so dads every single Thursday. And we've been doing this for 8 years. And they change from week to week. Dads are traveling or working. We have a nice core of guys, and we talk about how we can strengthen our relationships, not only with our spouses, our partners, our children, uh, the challenges and the joys of co-parenting. But one of the main things we do, we learn from one another, which is I think critical. Um, we learn how to support one another, how to encourage one another. And then we do fun activities. Like we said, we just had a camping trip. We'll catch a game. We do dinners with dads, barbecues, fishing trips, you name it. So we do that weekly. And in the picture, you'll see some of our graduations or some of our outings that we've done. Um, the group is virtual, so you'll see this is kind of what it looks like on a Thursday night. Dads from across the state. Because we're virtual, it's really nice because you can be way down in Worcester County or Somerset County or Wacomico County on the Eastern Shore. You can be way up in the Northwest in Hagerstown or Allegheny County or Frederick, or you can be down in Charles or St. Mary's in Southern Maryland or up north in Cecil or Hartford. Um, and we have dads that dial in from all over the state. One of the really nice things is that no matter if you're an urban father from Baltimore City or a rural father from Western Maryland, the thing we all have in common is we love our kids and we want to be the best dads we can. And we're all on this human experience um, where we're all going through various challenges at various different times, and we can encourage one another. We have brand new dads or expecting dads, or dads with newborns, all the way to granddads, and the like. So it's just really wonderful sharing. I'm just going to share a couple of these, and then I think I only have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to fly through some of this. Some of the core needs that men have is one, men have a really deep need to be and feel respected, right? Women have a really deep need for security. Um, and and it's important to understand that when you're interacting, when you're supporting and working with a man or a father, is that respect really, really is a deep one. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and many people have lost their life over feeling disrespected, unfortunately. Conversely, when you can help a man to feel respected, you should be surprised how, his countenance changed. Also, if a man's interested and wants to and is able to work, gainful and consistent employment is really key. Um, Appreciation. This is a little one that a lot of folks don't really key on that much, but we need to be appreciated. Trust me, I tell my wife all the time, you need to appreciate me. But it's a key one. Oftentimes we are told, how bad we are. We're no good. We're deadbeats. We're this, we're that. We're absent. We're just any number of labels that that we might wear at any one time. But there's something about when an agency, an organization, or an individual just shows genuine appreciation. Like when fathers come to our group, I want to make sure that they feel appreciated, like in all of their uniqueness and all whatever they bring to the table, that and also that they feel accepted. That's key. Um, you really want to make sure that men feel welcomed and so forth. Men need a connection to a safe place or person where he can gain necessary information related to his child's development, right? Whether it's the terrible twos or it's adolescence or something in between. Men need ways to learn the ages and stages and get feedback. And then they also, I don't know if you guys can read that last one, a brotherhood or a peer support that supports them and holds them accountable. That's key. And that's what we do every single week. So again, this is some of the dads we've worked with over the years. Top right is a fishing trip and cookouts and things like that we've done over the years. You'll see each of the fathers get a t-shirt and they just say that fatherhood is a verb, and to be a father is to be a provider, a protector, which we generally think about, but also that a nurturer and a teacher. And we really focus on those last two, that we're really nurturing, we're training, we're teaching in all that we do. So with the last 10 minutes I have before we turn it over to Dr. Mathan, open up to questions, I want to talk about how we can help men master self-care, 10 ways that fathers, men, and boys can take care of their mental health, right? So I want to talk briefly about this exercise we do every single week and have done for the past 8 years. We did it at the camping trip. It's called the Selahs, and it's an exercise we borrowed from the Crucible Project. And Selah is an acronym that stands for sad, excited, loving, angry, happy, scared, right? And so we literally, each man has a minute to talk about how he's feeling, how his week has been going. So they might say, I'm sad because this, but I'm excited because of this. I'm feeling loving because of this. I'm really angry because of this. I'm feeling happy because of this, and I'm scared because of this. And we give them a minute or so to check in. That last one we had to we had to add in parentheses concerned, because a lot of men are really programmed to not share the two S's, right? When we're children, we're taught boys don't cry, suck it up, man up, uh, rub some dirt on it. All these phrases that we hear when we're boys. And my good friend says men are socialized to internalize. So especially the first S and the second S. When we're sad, we're really taught to keep that on the inside. And when we're scared, we're taught to keep that on the inside as well. So we just shift. A lot of men will say, man, I'm not scared of anything. I'm not scared of anything. But we say, well, is anything you're concerned? And they can rattle off a whole list of things they're concerned about. So we kind of made that shift. But here we go. I want to show this quick video before we get into the top 10, and then we'll keep going. Angie, if there's a lag or something, just let me know. Let's see. Hopefully this will play. And
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that the big homie needs help too. He can't just rebound from everything. I know you've been grinding.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. I wonder why we waited so long. I'm not wondering anymore. see how far we can go.
Yeah, so loveyourmind.org is a great resource through a partnership with the Ag Council. And I let's see, hold on one second, y'all. I get to this next slide. I just want to recommend that loveyourmind.org is a great resource, and the Ag Council has some great resources under that um, campaign header. Let me just advance to the next slide, and then we'll keep going.
We don't see your slide anymore, Eugene.
Yeah, I disconnected just briefly, just for a second, Angie. So I was having a hard time navigating from to the next slide. Okay, so here we go. Okay, and you guys should be able to see my screen now. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So number one, is make sure you're talking to someone you trust. We use this term, the saying in our group, you're only as sick as your secrets, right? So because we've been socialized to internalize to keep those feelings of sadness and and being afraid on the inside, we do things like suppress it and repress it and stuff it and bottle it up. And eventually we can't, we're humans, so we can't keep all those feelings and emotions bottled up for a lifetime. Eventually, what happens is it explodes and it overflows, and it usually comes out in the form of anger. I believe anger is a safe emotion for men because when we're angry, we still feel strong and masculine and powerful. We don't feel, conversely, we don't feel like we were told when we were younger, we don't want to act like a sissy or act like a girl or a punk or the B word or the P word or anything like that. So, um, in our group, and we encourage all of you to find ways to help men express the full range of their emotions. It's really healthy. You're only as sick as your secrets. When you keep stuff on the inside, it doesn't get better. It just festers and molds and compounds, right? So talk to someone, whether it's a brother, a mentor, or a therapist. We're not designed to carry these burdens alone, right? We want to lay our burdens down. We want to be free, all right? So it's important that as men we talk to someone that we trust, whether it's one-on-one or in a group. Um, and also number two, it's okay to work with a professional, right? Therapy is for us. Therapy is for men. Therapy is for Black men. And we should all be seeing a therapist. Whether it's I always say to the guys, and it's actually a pretty amazing. I'd say probably 50% of the guys we work with, or almost 50% are see a therapist. And so we talk about it without shame, without stigma. In fact, we affirm the fact that someone said, "Oh, I was talking to my therapist about this," or "I have my therapist appointment coming up." We actually say that actually makes you more of a holistic man, right? That you're able to seek help and support and get stronger. It's like you know, just because we take our car to get a checkup or an oil change doesn't mean our car is broken or something's wrong with our car. No, we're intentionally maintaining the health of our vehicles, and we want to maintain the health of our minds as well, right? So definitely encourage folks to work with professionals. Number three, certainly moving our bodies, right? Critical. Um, as I'm getting older now, I'm hearing about more and more guys my age that are passing away, right, from preventable illnesses, right? So we're in our groups and among the men in my circle, we're always, hey, did you get your prostate checked? Did you get your colonoscopy? You eating right? You know, all those things that it's really important that we normalize men taking care of themselves, men going to the doctor. Did you get your physical? So exercise exercise reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. Whether it's you're lifting, you're hooping, you're running, just stay active is so important, right? Um, this one is a biggie, right? Number four, get your rest. I think a lot of men we're programmed to think we gotta grind, grind, grind. We gotta work. We gotta get it. We gotta provide. We're working two jobs, three jobs, four jobs to put food on the table. But the reality is sleep is survival, right? If it's like trying to drive a car without any fuel, right? You can try to run a car on fumes, but eventually that thing's going to break down, and that's how our bodies are. So We got to make sure we're aiming for 7 to 8 hours to recharge and heal our bodies and our minds. So definitely want to be focused on that. Number five, be intentional about how we're managing our stress daily, right? Life is stressful for men and for women. So whether it's through prayer, meditation, breathing, journaling, gotta just focus on, again, laying those burdens down, right? Or talking, as we talked before. Number six, set boundaries, right? They told me no is a complete sentence, right? No is one of the most powerful words in the English language. So you want to work to protect your peace, cut off toxic relationships, and say no to what drains you. So practice, say it with me, no, right? Say no to that next commitment. Um, you know, it's okay to say no. All right. It's actually healthy. And we need to practice saying it and setting those healthy boundaries, right? Number seven, we got to make sure we're fueling our body right, eating to nourish our mind, less processed junk food, more whole foods. We got to be drinking that water. We got to hydrate. That's key. Number eight, just do what brings you joy. Do something that you just genuinely enjoy. You have fun, you laugh, create, play ball, listen to music, create music. Life's just not about surviving, it's about living. So do something that brings you joy. That's so important, right? I like to play chess. That's one of the things I like to do. I like to work out in the backyard. So do what brings you joy. Number nine, as we come down to the end of it, stay connected. Keep strong relationships with people who uplift you. Check in on your brothers. It's important, right? Um, we don't want to, you know, we don't want to struggle in silence, right? So make sure we're checking in on one another. Make sure you're staying connected regularly. That's super important. And the last one, number 10, give yourself grace. All right. You don't have to be perfect. Healing is a process. Honor your journey. This is my oldest son, EJ. He's 20 now. This is when he was a senior in high school. He's a two-sport athlete. Ended up playing football in college. And sometimes what I realized is I grew up trying to prove how worthy I was, that I was enough. And sometimes it's just like it was never enough. I got to get more. I got to get more. I got to do more. But sometimes you just have to give yourself grace. You're never going to get it perfect. You're never going to have everything. We got to be careful of that pursuit of more, 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 more. Because if you're always looking for more, you'll never be satisfied with what you have. So make sure you're giving yourself grace. We miss it from time to time. Um, if you're a father or man and you miss it with your kids, man, it's okay to acknowledge that you were wrong and keep it moving. So I think with that, I appreciate you all's time. I would just close by saying, you know, um, men oftentimes have a tendency to isolate, to be a lone wolf. It's important to find ways to help us connect with one another. And you'd be amazed at how grateful men are just to connect with one another. Um, and for one, I connect with a group of four brothers every single week at 8:15 on Tuesdays. We're on the cone. We're checking in with one another. How you doing? How you feeling emotionally? Um, Thursday nights, every Thursday, checking in with brothers. And so try and create spaces for men to do that. And then ultimately, the beneficiary of men being healthier and stronger, and I'm sure Dr. Math will address this, is that children feel safer and healthier. And we're modeling these behaviors for our children as they grow into adulthood as well. So, Angie, I'll turn it back over to you and just definitely appreciate the time to share.
Thank you, Eugene, so much for all of that information and the important work that you're doing. And we are grateful that you said yes to coming here with us today. Um, we will make sure, some people are asking, we will make sure we have Eugene's information about Fathers Forward and the work he's doing in the follow-up email. And with that, I'd like to reintroduce you, Dr. Math from the Family Tree. You are up next. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Great presentation, Eugene. Fathers Forward is a great organization. And if there's anything that you all need from Fathers Forward related to just helping men, please don't hesitate to reach out to Eugene to be able to get the assistance that we need. We don't have enough resources available for us men to be able to just be vulnerable and to be men and to have the space to be just who we are, and not have to put on a facade or a mask to just be just who we are. You know, I say to my wife sometimes and my family, when I come home, I just want to be Chris. I don't want to be Dr. Math. I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to be a social worker. I don't want to be a human services professional. I just want to be Chris. And I believe that in my experience, not a lot of us men get the opportunity to just be who we are without having to, at some juncture or in some way, shape, or form, put on being what others want us to be and just being and not being who we can be. So let me see if I can go ahead and get the slides together so I can present. 1 second. Slideshow. To share my screen. 1 second. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So today I want to talk about breaking the chains, rewriting the legacy of fatherhood from a men's mental health awareness perspective. Once again, my name is Dr. Math. I am the Director of Community-Based Services here at the Family Tree. So I'm really happy to have this opportunity to be able to present, for Angie, the Children's Mental Health Network, just being able to have the opportunity to partner with great agencies to be able to just come together to support our entire community and sometimes really address areas that are sometimes not as common areas that are lifted as challenges that might be within our communities. So I just wanted to be able to just welcome everyone. Let me just see if I can get it to the next slide. Second. Okay. So I just want to be able to welcome everyone for investing your time in coming to these presentations by me and Eugene. Today isn't really about pointing fingers or assigning blame specifically. It's about recognizing that every man can choose what legacy he will actually leave behind for himself and for his children. And that's something that I really thought about a lot, being a dad of 7 children. My oldest child will be 36 in 8 days, and my youngest is 19. She'll be 20 in November. So I've had to really think about a lot of the different aspects that I'm going to talk about today. So some of us actually had fathers who were present in our lives. Others had fathers who were physically there, but emotionally absent. I grew up with a dad who was challenged with substances and alcohol. And most of my life, that's the only version of my dad that I knew, was a father who was on drugs and alcohol. But thank God that he's been delivered from his addiction and he's been clean for about the last 10 years. So I just turned 54. So really 40 years of my life or more, the only version of my dad that I knew was that version of my father. And I'm thankful that God spared him to be able to have us to have the greatest relationship that we have now. And there are also instances where some of us really never knew our fathers at all. So regardless of our experiences, we all have the ability to decide that the story changes with us. And even if, I know if it's not a lot of men on today, even for young ladies, we have to decide to be able to empower the men in our lives, the fathers of our children, our husbands, your husbands and spouses, to be able to help give them the tools that they need to be able to break some of these cycles. So today we're going to explore how generational patterns are actually formed and how they affect us and practical ways to actually create a different future for not just ourselves, but for our children. So too many men actually carry the weight of generational wounds. We said that, Eugene talked about it, absent fathers, unhealthy relationships, even emotional silence or patterns they never choose but have repeated. I know for me, one thing that I picked up was just being quiet, just being silent. I was never taught to really effectively express my emotions until I, really got well into my adulthood. And I realized that, holding things in was really killing me inside more than it was with me being truthful to those on the outside. So I actually had to learn to be more transparent with the way that I felt, with the way that I feel. So this workshop is really designed to help men and help us to confront the cycles that have shaped lives and develop the actual tools to really be able to create a healthier legacy for ourselves, our families, and future generations to come. Now, whether or not you are a father, you expect to become one, you're a mom, or you served as a mentor, or simply want to break free from some inherited patterns that have really plagued you in your life, we want to talk about being able to equip you today with the insight and the confidence to stop repeating the past and start building a legacy that future generations will be proud of and will be proud to actually inherit. So these are the learning outcomes for today. I'm not going to read those to you. You can see them for yourself, but these are really the areas where we want to focus today. When I read when I read it and it says it's talking about breaking the different cycles, I think about all I hear in my head is my mom's voice. My mom used to tell me through high school, Chris, break the cycle. Chris, break the cycle. And I never understood what that meant, but that's all I heard from my mom. But then I realized that personally, my mom had me when she was 15. So when I was in high school and I started having children, my mom was like, Chris, you still have to break the cycle. And I felt that I failed. But my mom explained to me that breaking the cycle was not just not having kids at a young age. Breaking the cycle was her telling me to be present in my children's lives, to act no matter what the cost, no matter what was going on between me and my kid's mom, I would need to be present. So let's just kind of get right into it, as we start today. So using one word in the chat, what quality describes the kind of father or mentor you want to be, or what kind of father or mentor you had in your life? So in the chat, can you just go ahead and put a couple of things in there so we can take a look at those. Pull it up some. Okay. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. Okay. Supportive, consistent, loving, kind, absent, nurturer, okay, protective, okay, loving, great. So some examples are being present, patient, honest, also loving, strong, faithful, consistent. All of those are different, like one words that describes the kind of father or mentor or the kind of father or mentor you had in your life. So notice the words actually fill in the chat. Most of us desire similar things. And the question is, what gets in the way of all of us being able to achieve that? Or what got in the way of our fathers being able to achieve that for themselves? So, what is a generational cycle? So, we have to really, really start there and understand what it is. So, a generational cycle is a pattern of beliefs, behaviors, emotional responses, or relationship habits passed from one generation to the next. So, when my mom said, Chris, break the cycle, she was asking me to crush a generational cycle that she did not want passed from my father down to me. She wanted me to, no matter what, to do something different to break the cycle. And I've been able to turn around and say to my son, repeat the cycle because of my presence and my persistence in my children's lives. I've been able to turn around and tell my son to continue and repeat the cycle of no matter what being present in his son's life. So children don't just inherit like eye color. They inherit what relationships look like. They inherit conflict styles from us. They also inherit communication habits as well as emotional responses. My dad always, well, not my real dad, but the gentleman I call my dad who was there for me for 17, 18 years of my life, he used to always say, Chris, you're teaching even when you don't think that you're teaching. I learned that although, we might believe that our children are in another room, they're not paying attention, they're always listening. And they are going to one day repeat the same things that we've said and also sometimes repeat what our actions are in specific situations. So they actually inherit our responses, our expectations, and sometimes they can even inherit our silence. As I said earlier, I realized that I was emotionally silent in situations where wasn't really telling someone how they hurt me. And I realized that two of my sons had picked up those same habits because they watched me. So I had to teach them that it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be a man and show emotion. Actually, that's a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness. So as a show of raising, as a sign here, just raise your hand if you've ever caught yourself saying or thinking like, I sound just like my dad, or I promise I would never do that like my dad. Or let's say, my dad used to say this. Even if your dad is, you didn't have the greatest relationship with your father, there are still times where you would have probably acknowledged the presence or the absence within of your dad within your life. So when you did that, like what surprised you when you noticed it? I know for me, what surprised me when I noticed some similarities in myself and my father was the fact of like my thought process. The fact that in times where things got tough for me as a dad, I wanted to give up. I wanted to say the heck with it. I can't do this. I can't take the way that things are going between me and his mom or her mom. And I wanted to give up. So in those moments, I actually acknowledged that there were some generational connections that I inherently had from my dad that I didn't like and that I had to get away from. So those generational cycles can actually be perpetuated in a lot of different ways. So the father wound, how unhealed experiences shape our lives. So whether our father was absent physically, emotionally unavailable, or critical or overwhelmed, those experiences often become those invisible teachers that we have that then we give to our children. Like if we actually don't heal them, colleagues, we often repeat those same things. I just stated how I actually was repeating those same emotional absences to my children. So if I didn't heal them, I was repeating them for my children. So basically, the father wound can look like difficulty expressing emotions, which I experienced. Fear of being vulnerable. I didn't want to express my vulnerability because I thought that I would be seen as a weak man or a weak individual. I wanted to be perfect, so I had to, always have this cape on that portrayed me as a man that never hurt, that always had everything together, and was always able to answer everybody's question. But it's one thing that I say sometimes is like, who's the social worker for the social worker? Who's the therapist for the therapist? Because we all need to have those types of supports that help to be able to move ourselves from a place of instability and vulnerability to a place of safety and security. Also, anger, workaholism, I've been guilty of that, as well as fear of failure and difficulty trusting others are all ways that those fatherhood wounds can actually look and manifest themselves to our family members. So what remains unhealed often becomes repeated. And Eugene kind of touched a little bit on this in his presentation as well. So what I want to touch on now is like healing starts with one decision for men and for parents who are trying to help their families. So breaking generational cycles doesn't require perfection. Nobody is looking for any of us men to be perfect. And honestly, if you are seeking perfection in the man in your life, then you are not really being fair, not just to yourself, but most importantly to that man. So it requires intentionality for us to be able to do that. So 5 ways to break the cycle is one, we have to become more self-aware. And you have to ask yourself, like, what am I repeating? What is it that I'm repeating and giving to my family and my children that I didn't like that was actually given to me as a child? Also, we have to be able to heal our own wounds, which means healing is strength and it's not weakness. Being able to recognize that these are areas that's actually holding you back, as opposed to being able to pushing you forward in strength, is the number one acknowledgement of being able to really, number one, see the issue and to be able to address it. Learning emotional language, instead of anger, we should be able to say, I'm disappointed, or I'm hurt, or even like I'm overwhelmed. I know that like saying that I'm overwhelmed is like almost taboo for men because we don't want to be seen that we can't carry everything. But in fact, ladies, we cannot carry everything. Sometimes we have to tag you in as our partner to be able to shoulder some of the weight of what we're actually carrying for all of us to be successful and for all of us to come out better on the other end. It's not an individualized thing here. It's actually a collective to be able to put our families and our children in a place of stability. Also, we can say, I'm afraid. That's really tough for men to say, I'm afraid, because that shows that we are truly being vulnerable. But being afraid is a God-given emotion that we have. Like sometimes we're afraid, we're anxious. Sometimes we're depressed. There are a lot of different areas where, there are things that we can say that will adequately express our feelings and emotions. Also, choosing presence over perfection. Children remember consistency, not perfection. I'm going to say that again. Children remember consistency, not perfection. And these are areas that I give to my children by saying to my son with my grandson, you don't have to be perfect. Your son will value the time that you spend with him more than he will value that toy that you bought him that he will break in 3 months. It's the time and consistency that actually matters. And leaving a different legacy, you have to ask yourself daily, what story will my children tell about me? This is one that I kind of grapple with right now for full transparency as a dad, having adult children and wondering, what story am I leaving for my children? Like, what will they say about me if for some reason I transition, right? Because you're always concerned as a dad about how your children think of you and what you've given them and what you potentially imparted within your children. So legacy isn't what you leave behind after you're gone. Legacy is what you're building today. So the four legacy, I'm sorry, I need to go back. I think I went back. Yes. Building a new legacy, the legacy challenge. The four legacy commitments that any man should say or think about for himself and his family is: I will be present, I will be honest, I will apologize, and I will keep learning. Being able to be present goes back to that consistency of just being there for your children and your family. Being honest means that your vulnerabilities are areas where you want to strengthen because you want to be better moving forward with your family. You want to be able to openly apologize to your children. That's something that I had to learn. I learned that apologizing to my children was actually me showing them that although I'm their dad, that I am not perfect and that I am not high enough or think that I'm in the hierarchy of parent and child, that I cannot apologize to them for doing something wrong. And also keep learning every single day. What do they say? There's no specific handbook for learning as a parent. Each child is different. Every one of my 7 children are totally different. And I had to handle each and every one different every single time. But I actually learned to actually be present and to continue to learn with my children. So the call to action that I have as I begin to conclude here is that I want you all to reflect on these questions. Like, the cycle that ends with me is what? I want you to think about what that blank would be. If you want to put it in the chat, you can. If you want to share, that's fine. I also want you to think about the legacy I will build is what? Not just for yourself, but for your children, for your family. And I want you to also answer this question. What's one action you'll commit to this week to begin breaking the chain that has been there in your family? I know that one thing that I need to continue to work on is not being dismissive of some of the things that my adult children say. And since we're doing this presentation, I just need to be honest. Because sometimes I can believe that their perspective is not valid, but I also have to understand that their perspective is what was their perspective when they were growing up of the actions that I took as their dad. Saying that I did the best I could in those moments is not an adequate answer to give your children. Sometimes we have to explain to them that, you know what, I was dealing with this in those moments. This is why I made that decision. And, honestly, sometimes they will not understand your decisions until they become parents. And then they're in positions where they have to make decisions for themselves. So I want to actually challenge everybody. 30-day legacy challenge. So commit to one intentional action each day. Just one each day. Such as one meaningful conversation with your child or your mentee. Write a letter to your future children or grandchildren about the values you hope to pass on to them. Spend uninterrupted quality time with your family. Expressing emotion without anger. That's a tough one. That is a tough one, because if you're in your feelings, you are going to be in your feelings and potentially express it with anger. Apologize when you make a mistake and share a life lesson with the next generation. Now, I just want to stop right there, because when we talk about sharing a life lesson with the next generation, when we think about that, I sit back and think about, I'm old enough to remember that when I was in middle school or junior high school, we had what we call like home economics class, where they taught us how to actually address an envelope. What goes where in an envelope. They taught us how to type. We actually had to type. They taught us how to format specific letters. Like, now, when you think about sharing a life lesson with the next generation, they don't want to hear when we say, yeah, before cell phones, it was this. They don't want to hear that. We automatically lose them. So if you are going to commit to this 30-day legacy challenge and you choose to share a life lesson with the next generation, make sure that you choose something that's going to be meaningful to them. Make sure you choose something that is actually going to be relatable to them. Remember how you were or what your thought process was when you were their age, when you talked to them about any situation. And that will be able to kind of help you to do this. So the greatest gift that you can give your children as I close isn't our money, although that's what they want because they want new shoes, they want new games, they want new cell phones. It isn't success and it isn't the perfect home. It's actually healing from everything that we've gone through in our lives to be able to give back to our children and our families. Because healed fathers, colleagues raise healthy families actually build healthier communities. And healthier communities actually change generations to be able to continue to push those cycles of great progress forward. So you may not be responsible for the legacy that you inherited, but you are responsible for the legacy that you actually create. So I wanted to thank everybody for I'm gonna stop sharing, for being present for my presentation. Once again, my name is Dr. May. I'm the Director of Community-Based Services here at the Family Tree. And if you need to get in contact with me, all of my information is actually on the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. May. Both of you have given us a lot of really good information. We all have fathers. For those of us with husbands or raising young men, valuable information we can take and share and apply. Are there any questions? I want to open the floor. We have just a couple minutes. Want to open the floor for any questions you might have. You can just unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Good afternoon. How would one go about contacting you all for families that we have that would be able to benefit?
Yeah, so I'll drop my information in the chat, my email and my phone number. And if you're interested in connecting with us and or making referrals, we'd love to jump on a call to see how that would work with your particular agency. We do work with a number of agencies across the state. At one point, we're up to 22 counties across the state, so we're probably doing something where you are. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. And we will close out again. Thank you both. You all were amazing, and I just look forward to continuing working with both of you. As I mentioned, we will make the presentation as well as the link to the video available to everybody. So we want to invite you all back next month. We're going to have a 3-part back to school series presented by the National Center for School Mental Health, understanding and promoting student mental health and well-being, trauma-informed essentials for educators, and beyond total screen time, understanding social media, student well-being, and school success. So we look forward to working with all of you to advance children's mental health and to support families and communities throughout Maryland. Reach out to us at info@cmhm.mhamd.org with any questions or ideas about partnering. And I wish all of you a good rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.